Okay, so this meeting will be short and sweet. Short and sweet meeting. I have nothing to say. Ask questions. Like today, for example, His Holiness said, you remember, he gave you this generation of bodhicitta, where he spoke about the aspirational bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. Aspirational bodhicitta means the wish to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is very important. But that is just an aspiration. It's like your wish to go to Meghalorganj but never going. ठीक है ना? Meghalorganj जाऊंगा, मोमो खाऊंगा, नहीं जाने से कहाँ मिलेगा? है ना? जाना चाहिए ना? तो aspirational bodhicitta is important, but what is even more important is engaging bodhicitta. Engaging means you practice the 6 or 10 perfections. Right? And His Holiness very clearly mentioned today that today I found this precious human life. Right? I am born in the lineage of the Buddha. Therefore, whatever may come, now I will not disturb this important lineage, the holder, the lineage which holds bodhicitta, which means the wish to benefit others. So that is your heart practice. For the rest of your life, think about benefiting others as much as possible. On and off you will fail, that is natural. But that should be your national highway. ठीक है ना? नेशनल हाईवे चलते चलते थक गया तो इधर जाके रेस्टोरेंट में थोड़ा खाना खाओ, कोई बात नहीं, that is okay. But don't lose the national highway. The other things, your job, your many other things, they are like the sideway business. National highway is benefiting others, because there is nobody who is not suffering, nobody who is having no problem. So therefore Nagarjuna says, Rangi tingzu deba yi shenji penla zombracha. Tingzu jorwa majebi dubopo yi chimidu. That means if you really want to get yourself established, many of us are not established, right? Nagarjuna says, if you really want to get established, Rangi tingzu jorwa yi shenji penla zombracha. If you want to get established, then make effort in helping others. Look at this. Tingzu jorwa majebi dubopo yi chimidu. Meaning that if you don't come up with an action which really establish yourself firmly in the ground, then the practitioner will not achieve much. ठीक है ना? So the heart of tantric teaching, Buddhist teaching, sutric teaching, Hinayana, Mahayana, whatever, it's basically benefiting others. Right? Because the important thing is, the more you think about others, the more you will be open and happy. The more you try to be extra clever and think just about yourself, उसने नहीं देखा, उसने उसको पता नहीं, ये भी कर लेगा, वो भी कर लेगा करके. If you start doing things, right, you are fooling yourself. Because it is now scientifically found that people who develop this narrow-minded attitude and thinks just about oneself, they are prone to all kind of illnesses, including heart attack. Why this is so? In Chandrakirti's Madhyamika Avatara, right in the beginning, there is a stanza which says, Thangbo ngashe dala shenjur ching dagin di shengula chajeba sujun chenda rawa meba yandola nying jechur gantela. He pays homage to the one that has compassion by saying that these sentient beings are suffering because first of all they will develop this grasping to me, Thangbo nga, I. Then they develop this grasping mine, Thangbo nga, then nga shi ngai. My car, my family, my dagla shenjuj. Sujun chenda, then because of this grasping to me and mine, they keep revolving in the samsara just like the rings of a bucket in the well. Rings of bucket. जो पानी खींचता है ना कुएं से, वो देखा है ना अपने bucket, उसको देखो ठीक से. या तो ये bucket जो है या तो टेढ़ा होगा या तो मुर्रा होगा, है ना? क्योंकि when they come up, they just move here and there and hit against the wall. So sentient beings are like this rings of bucket in the well. Some are suffering from suffering, some suffering change, some pervasive suffering, things like that. ठीक है ना? So when you see this, naturally you develop this love and compassion to others. So that's the heart. And then the obstruction to that negative obstruction to the cultivation of the bodhicitta, the mind that cherishes others, is the self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing attitude does not mean that you should not think about yourself, but it means thinking just about oneself and completely ignoring others. ये है ना आजकल दुनिया में, in the world there's so much, just me, you know. You may come up with very nice words and statements, but at the core you're thinking, मुझे मिलना चाहिए बस, बाकी को गोली मारो, है ना, मुझे ही मिलना चाहिए बस, वो नहीं होना चाहिए. Even in a situation when there is a competition, His Holiness says the competition should be positive competition. इसको भी आगे जाना है, मैं भी आगे जाना है, मैं खूब दौड़ूंगा, आगे पहुंच गया तो पहुंचा, नहीं पहुंचा तो नहीं पहुंचा, वो पहुंच गया तो कोई बात नहीं, उसको भी मैं ताली मारूंगा. ऐसा नहीं कि मैं ही पहुंचना है, उसको धक्का देकर नीचे गिरा दो. Not like that. So you have every right to work hard, to compete in a positive sense, but not by harming others. ठीक है ना? So therefore, this thinking just about oneself all the time is not solution, because when you just think about yourself, your inner door gets closed. Then you feel that loneliness. ठीक है ना? In the beginning, you try to be very clever, saying that I, me, mine, only I, me, and mine. Baki ko goli maro. But then, in the end, you find, as a natural result, that you feel lonely. फिर आपको पता नहीं कि क्या करूं, हाय मुझे क्या करूं. ठीक है ना? So you open up, see others just like yourself, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. People from any country, any place, any nationality, men, women, basically, even insects, same, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. Sambukang me deve che du juk, thongma me deve che du juk, donna jikne yongzo phangren chigli chingjo deve che du juk. That means if you look at the earthworm, the legless earthworm moves. Rengra hai na wo, legless earthworm moves. Kyun? Moves in search of peace. The eyeless ant moves in search of peace. In short, the whole world is running in search of peace. And today, of course, it's very clear, everybody is running. With aeroplanes, with cars, with trains, whatever, everybody is running. Running for what? Everybody has a one answer for this, for that, for this, for class, things like that. But at the end, you are supposed to be doing this for happiness. So even when you just turn your sides, for happiness. ऐसे करके सोया, फिर नहीं सो रहा है, नींद नहीं आ रहा है, फिर ऐसे करके सोना, है ना? करवटें बदलते जाना बोलता है ना वो. एक गाना भी है ना उसमें. हाँ, मुझे गाना गाने का मन कर रहा है. So my point is, even changing side is for peace and for happiness, right? And then deep down, if you look carefully at the superficial glance, everybody looks nice, But if you really closely watch each and every one, everybody has one or the other problem. And this point became very clear to me once I was visiting the 4 Scandinavian countries many years back. I was requested by the medical institute. I was then studying in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, so they requested me to accompany a Tibetan physician who was visiting the 4 Scandinavian countries for 1 month. So they asked me to translate. So I studied a little bit of Tibetan medicine, Thora Kuchara Tamara. Here, Buddhism I know a little bit, so I thought it's okay. So I went there as a translator and also as a dispenser of medicine, compounder. I was helping the doctor. So what became so clear to me is when the patients come to see the doctor from those Scandinavian countries, when they come in, they all look good. Gentlemen, gentlewomen, nicely dressed, and shoes also making noise, tuck, tuck, tuck. And then nice handbag or something, really looking nice. But when they sit before the doctor, and the doctor diagnoses the pulses and asks questions, believe me, almost everybody has 2-3 different illnesses, sicknesses. Kamar bhi dard hai, sir bhi dard hai, jukam bhi aa raha hai, so many things. That's the reality. That's the reality. So with this kind of understanding, in your life, your promise should be, as His Holiness always says, if possible, help them as much as you can. If you cannot, at least refrain from harming. हो सके तो मदद करो, नहीं होने से कम दूसरों को हानि नहीं पहुंचाओ. Very simple. ठीक है ना? And then, all of us have different problems. So in life, remember this quotation from Shantideva. If it is something you can change, don't worry, because you can change it. It's your exam or getting job, whatever. If it is something you can change, don't worry, because you can change it. If it is something you can't change it, no use worrying. By worrying, you can't change it. Right? So don't get stuck with the problems that you experience or problems you think will come with just thinking and doing nothing. उसी में खो के बैठना, वहीं सर जाना, वो नहीं करना आपने. ठीक है ना? It's very, very important. ठीक है ना? Because we are human beings, intelligent human beings. We'll find solutions for many things. ठीक है ना? दुनिया में जितना भी चीज़ है, और आपको मिलने का ज़रूरत भी नहीं है, मिलने की कोशिश भी मत करो. ठीक है? Whatever is there in the world, you don't have to get everything that is there in the world, and there's no need to make attempt to get everything in the world, because you don't need. As I said repeatedly, if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, but not the whole ocean. है ना? तो इतना पानी पियो कि आपका प्यास से बुझ जाए. But you should drink enough water so that your thirst will be quenched. Similarly, in life, you should have something that will make you happy. Today, in the modern world, the problem is, in the name of things like multitasking, this, that, everybody is doing something. Nobody knows what they are doing. And also, the truth is, if you do one thing properly, that will energize you, and you will be able to do many things properly. If you don't do one thing properly, you will never get that stamina and energy. So in your life, don't start too many projects, too many activities. ये भी अच्छा है बोल करके वो मत करो. When you start something, then make sure, think properly and start that, and then make sure you complete it. ठीक है ना? That's very important, based on my own experience. Because in the modern world, people give you the temptation of money and saying, can you do this project? And you'll get this much dollar or this much pound. But there is a deadline. So I tell people, no, I don't want to go with this deadline, because before I meet the deadline, I will be dead. So the thing that I'm really saying is, don't go after temptations. See carefully how important it is, whether you can do it or not. Even if it is important, you can do it or not. If you can't do it, then you must learn to say no politely. अगर किसी ने बोला कि आज हमने नाइट क्लब डांस में जाना है, तो मेरे दोस्त ने, my friend invited me to go to the night club, therefore I must go. This is stupid. Yes, it's friend, but there is a way to say no politely. वो करना चाहिए. नहीं तो हम लोग क्या ज़्यादातर what we do, we don't think, we go where everybody is going. ऐसे चल रहा है, जुम्बी की तरह ना चल रहा है. ठीक है ना? वो नहीं होना चाहिए. आप ये मुझे करना चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए, खाना चाहिए, नहीं खाना चाहिए. सिर बहुत बड़ा सिर लेके बैठा है ना, उसको इस्तेमाल करके. It's really important, right? So therefore, the main teaching that you received from this Heart Sutra by His Holiness is primarily two things: development of bodhicitta and wisdom understanding shunyata. Now some questions?
In the morning, His Holiness was talking about that we all are, but have the Buddha nature in us.
Yeah.
What about animals, plants? Can they also get enlightened? Or they have first to become a human being to get enlightened?
Yes, they have the potential to become the Buddha, but of course they have to become human beings, because they need to, activate that Buddha nature. For activating that Buddha nature, you have at least more developed state of consciousness. Yeah.
Kishila, one more last question. Like my question is like, how to build unconditional love to the mother when a child who depart from their mothers at small of age. So a person Tibetan student who left their parents at the age of 6. So Tibetan student or in the world there are so many children who left or depart their parents when they are very small. So how to build such unconditional love to their mother?
All sentient beings are your mother. So even if you don't have your mother right now, others can be considered as your mother and develop love towards them also. Yeah. And if you don't have mother, you have father. Develop that unconditional love to your father and so forth. Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
Geshe, what is the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana?
Hinayana and Mahayana. Normally these days we don't use the word Hinayana and Mahayana. Because when we use the word Hin, like Tuch, something like Hin is smaller, it's something like derogatory. So we try to use the word Theravada and Mahayana. Or not even Mahayana, Theravada and Bodhisattvayana. To avoid unnecessary misunderstanding.
Actually,
but if you use the word Hinayana and Mahayana, it does not refer to section of people Hinayana and section of people Mahayana, not like that. It depends upon your mental attitude. If you have a mind wishing to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, then you have that Mahayana or the great, vehicle, right? But if your thinking is only for yourself to attain nirvana just for yourself, not Buddhist, not Buddhahood, then even if you're a Tibetan, living in a Mahayanist country among Mahayanist people, still you are Hinayana, right? So, but the important thing for you to understand is, both, whether you call it Hinayana, Mahayana, or Theravada, or Bodhisattvayana, they are all taught by the same Buddha. That we need to understand. Without the foundational teachings taught in Hinayana or Theravada, there is no foundation for Mahayana. The 37 limbs to enlightenment, Four Noble Truths, these are all what is being taught in Hinayana or Theravada, which is also taught in Mahayana. So if you say this is taught in Hinayana, so therefore I am a Mahayanist, so I don't want to follow this, then that means your very foundation is lost. Right? So you need to understand this as being taught by the same Buddha.
Hello. Geshe, what type of relation should be there between Guru and Chela?
Guru and Chela, first of all, before you accept anybody as Guru, don't hurriedly accept somebody as your Guru. Don't tie your neck with anybody saying Guru. Guru में भी बहुत प्रकार का है आजकल. Okay, they are business guru हैं, है ना, marketeers हैं, Guru, दिन रो repeatने वाले हम जैसे हैं, Guru बहुत खतरनाक Guru हैं, ठीक है ना? So, but what you need to understand is making relationship with authentic Guru. And what is authentic Guru? Authentic Guru, if you look at this Sanskrit word Guru, Gu means ignorance, Ru means remover. So the real Guru is somebody who helps you remove your ignorance. That's a Guru. That is a Guru. And also with the word Lama, which is equivalent to Guru, Lama means somebody superior. So the real, genuine Lama is somebody who cares more about others than oneself, who cares more about future lives than this life. That's the true mark and a characteristic of a great teacher. So what is important is the teacher at least should have more knowledge than you, otherwise he cannot teach, right? And then another very important factor is that teacher should be compassionate, right? So these 2-3 factors must be there. So right in the beginning you don't have to, you can just go and receive teachings from different teachers. You don't have to say this is my teacher. है ना, हम लोग तो है ना, ये मेरा है बोलने में बहुत ये है ना, उत्सुकता है ना, वो नहीं जल्दी से, जैसे कि कुत्ते को मांस का छोटा सा टुकड़ा मिल गया, ऐसे मत करो, ठीक है ना? Don't jump towards the teacher, right? So take time, and gradually if you find that teacher is reliable, then you can mentally accept that person as your teacher. Okay? So otherwise don't make a bondage like that. You can be thankful that somebody taught you, you receive good advices, be thankful, but no need to accept him as your teacher. Thankful तो होता है ना, एक कप चाय देने से भी thankful होता है ना, तो इतना teaching लिया तो thankful तो होना चाहिए ना, हाँ. लेकिन it's not important to accept him as your teacher. Yeah.
Geshe Lhakdor, my question is, since we are caught up in this samsaric world, so we are bound to face suffering. We are bound to face suffering here or another. So until and unless we don't realize the emptiness of objective existence, I feel like there's no any other way to overcome this suffering. So for us, like lay people, we are not in a monastery, so we have to like study our own subjects and work, and there are a lot of things to do, right? I mean, it's important to study the Dharma, I agree, but Geshe Lhakdor, could you say something for us lay people to, fight against the world? Because I'm studying the emptiness of objective existence and, like contemplating, meditating, I think there's this whole sort of process, right?
Yeah.
So could you say something for this one? Thank you.
Arya Deva in his 400 verses says, you understand that very well, right? One who is not tired of this particular home, or one who is not tired of this samsaric existence, will never develop respect to nirvana. And he gives example by saying that if you are very happy with your present home, why should you think about moving somewhere else? Right? It's only when in your home things are not going well, then you think about moving to America or India or wherever, right? So similarly, the wish to become Buddha, the wish to achieve nirvana will arise when you see the limitation of the existence in samsara. So you need to ask this very pertinent question: is everything okay? Is everything okay? Now when we ask this question, is everything okay, there are many answers. One answer is, without thinking you can say, okay, yes, everything is okay. Because you are not sick, you are well, you have something to eat, so everything is okay. I'm not talking about that. If you look a little bit deeper, what's happening in the world today, is everything okay? What is happening in the society, in the community, is everything okay? Even in your family, if you look carefully, is everything okay? Then you will find, no, not everything is okay. When you realize that not everything is okay, then there's no need for you to discourage, but then you need to see, how can I find the solution? Right? And then the solution, then you will be able to see all these problems that you see is primarily due to the negative emotions within oneself. Anger, jealousy, hatred. Because of all these negative emotions, we are very fond of dividing. Main, tu karke hai na. Tu me bolta hai na. O karke, dividing. We are very good in dividing. This country, this man, that woman, black, white, yellow, green, whatever, Very fond of dividing. So the more you divide and see things as separate, unconnected, the more you are going against the nature. As we already discussed, in nature, everything is interrelated, interconnected. Right? So you will become a piece then. You will not be a member of the whole. You will become a small piece which will not be able to survive. Just like a small part of a big machine getting separated, then it's of no use. It may be a very expensive nail, but it gets separated from the wheel, it's not much use. Something like that. So therefore you need to see the most important thing is, in the cycle of existence, things are not well because of the negative emotions. So even while you are in the samsara, if you reduce, it's not easy to completely eliminate, but if you reduce the intensity of the negative emotions, you will be much happier. And that happiness can come even today. Like that, you may be a little bit upset or tired, whatever. Then you change your way of thinking, things will be better, right? So don't think that you cannot be happy until you become Buddha or achieve nirvana, not like that. You can be happy, yeah.
Geshe, how law of karma arises from emptiness, analytically?
Because, as I said, because of emptiness, things are interdependent. As I said the other day, you may or may not remember, emptiness means empty of independent existence. There is no independent existence. Things exist, therefore things have dependent existence. Dependent means depending upon each other, cause-effect relationship. From there comes karma, right? Because now, because of this lack of independent existence, there is dependent existence. So by depending upon each other, you can create that cycle of action or karma. Positive karma, negative karma comes from causes and conditions through dependence, right?
Geshe, to whom we can say a good Buddhist, because there are many people who are born as a Buddhist, but then they do nasty things, even the religious institution also.
Yeah. Good Buddhist is somebody who tries his or her best to follow the teaching of the Buddha. Not you are right, not because you are born, no. So that's why we say, if somebody asks you, are you a Buddhist? Then you say, yes, I am Buddhist. Why are you a Buddhist? Because I'm born in a Buddhist country. No, that's the wrong answer. Right? You are a Buddhist if you sincerely take refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Right? In order to take refuge to Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, you need to, it's important for you to know the qualities of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Why you take refuge in them. What is the problem with you to take refuge in them. Once you have this understanding, you will be naturally a better practitioner, a better person, right? You cannot, nobody can be perfect on the very first day, but therefore I said that the Buddhist is somebody who takes refuge in Buddha, Dharma and Sangha and tries his best to practice the teaching of the Buddha. Good Buddhist. Yeah, good Buddhist doesn't mean he or she should be perfect, no.
Geshe, I have a question that as a genuine compassion, towards every sentient being. So somehow, if you want to help anyone or anyone who is suffering or any sentient being, somehow you need to be more brave than more compassionate. I think, because at being in compassionate, you can't be brave. So how do you? You think
can't be brave.
I think Geshe,
okay.
Maybe
because.
With compassion, for me, I think I have been more emotional, so not able to know the. So what do you?
That is misunderstanding of compassion.
So okay, sir.
The Hindi word for compassion is karuna, which literally translated is something like stopping bliss. That means when you develop this compassion for others, wishing that they be free from suffering, you develop some kind of uneasiness. That's why it's called stopping the bliss. But that uneasiness comes only on the surface level. It's like a big ocean. The big ocean, on the surface there will be some waves, but deep down it is solid. It's unmoving, stable. So similarly, when you develop compassion with the understanding that others are suffering, then it's reasonable, it's logical. Therefore, on the surface there will be some disturbance because of your compassion for others, but deep down there is courage. It's not like, the ordinary suffering. When you encounter an ordinary suffering, it will shake you completely, because it is not based on any reason or any logic. But when you intentionally develop that compassion and love for others, you might get a little bit disturbed on the surface, but deep down there is courage, right? So it's important to, therefore I always say non-violence and compassion, these are the actions which can be practiced only by very strong people, not by weak people. Compassion is not a sign of weakness. Compassion is not like feeling of pity that somebody is poor thing, not like that. Compassion, you develop compassion to others with full respect, right? And based on logic and reason, right? So for practice of compassion and non-violence, you really need courage, not for killing. If you kill somebody, shoot somebody, you don't actually need courage. You press the button and the machine will do the job, right? Okay, yeah.
Today we had this wonderful experience of generating aspirational bodhicitta with His Holiness. How would you advise us to gradually shift to actualizing bodhicitta or venturing bodhicitta?
Oh, I would strongly suggest read Shantideva's Bodhicharya Avtara. Best book ever, right? So right from the first, second chapter, it tells about how to cultivate this bodhicittas, and then engaging bodhicitta, and then practice of the six perfections. They're all beautifully explained there, and very, very inspiring. And luckily now there are at least 4 or 5 different versions of translation in English also, right? So I would strongly suggest to read that. And if you want to complement it with some other text, then read Arya Deva's 400 verses also. Yeah.
I'm curious about the relationship between renunciation and selfishness. It seems even if you're going into this path to achieve bodhicitta, it can somehow seem selfish to loved ones or society or family members to seek this and attain this.
The renunciation means renouncing that self-grasping to oneself, the self-cherishing attitude to oneself. It's not talking about having no love to your relatives and friends. Okay? So that's different. You can, like the Bodhisattvas, they have the greatest love and respect to other sentient beings, and they also are the best who would practice renunciation, right? So renunciation is basically in Tsongkhapa's 3 principal aspects of the path, he says, when you reflect about the preciousness of this human life, and that there's not much time in this life to do good things, and when you make your mind habituated with this, then your obsession towards this life will be removed. And then you think about the infallibility of cause-effect relationship, and then the faults of the samsara and so forth, then you will be able to remove obsession to the next life. So that is the definition of renunciation, of removing your obsession to this life and next life. Okay? But it has nothing. Yeah, no. But of course, you shouldn't cross the boundary, you know. Normally we must love our sentient beings, love our brothers, sisters, but that love when becomes obsession or attachment, then that becomes a problem.
How to find balance between wish to become enlightened and suchness of the moment, because sometimes the desire and wish to become enlightened so strong that you are losing your present moment. So
So in Tibetan, I don't know how to translate it. In Tibetan, there's a word which is called Ngenjung Pusu. I don't know how to translate. That means almost like you should not develop facsimile renunciation or superficial renunciation. That means some people write meaning for the first time they hear the teaching, they get so excited, they even forget their food. As soon as they start learning something, they want to become an enlightened person, you know, a highly educated Buddhist teacher or something like that. After 3 days, everything has been forgotten and there's no trace at all. Such person will get nothing. Therefore, you should make effort, just like the running stream. The running streams, they never say, it is night, now I will stop. I'll keep on running. So in our case also, keep on running, keep on doing. And the easiest way to explain this is what His Holiness says. His Holiness says 50-50. 50% for this life, 50% for Dharma practice. Or future life, rather future life, yeah. So don't think this, you're leading this life and Dharma practice are contradictory, no. Because even for Dharma practice, you need to survive. For that, you need food. So with that motivation, you do the same job, but because of motivation, you're doing the same thing, but now it becomes a Dharma practice, right?
Could you suggest me any of His Holiness books that you have read?
That I have
read. And my second question is like, why the Lord Buddha gave his first teaching only based on sufferings, like Four Noble Truths, and not only happiness and joy and all this? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. His Holiness says, in English there are, I think, over 100 books. So I would strongly urge you to read all those commentaries on Bodhisattva by His Holiness. Okay? And then the Buddha, the first teaching was on suffering, because suffering is introduction to happiness. Suffering is introduction to happiness. And of course, when he taught the Four Noble Truth, he did not teach only suffering, he also taught happiness. Suffering, its cause, and happiness, its cause. So he taught both. But primarily he taught suffering because, as I said, suffering is the introduction to happiness. It's only when you realize suffering, then you will find a way to go beyond that suffering, to achieve suffering. If you don't have that knowledge of suffering, you will never appreciate happiness. So therefore, this teaching on suffering, impermanence are really, really important. Especially if you reflect upon impermanence, especially your own death, then there will be a quantum leap in your spiritual practice. Without thinking about those things that is related to you, if you think about nirvana, enlightenment, they are very comforting, but that will not affect much in your spiritual practice. Okay?
Thank you so much, Geshe. There was a question from Nonola which reminded me. He was asking about the relation between Guru and Chela. Geshe, we were discussing even yesterday during the discussion time in Tushita. Like we are from Ladakh and we have students from Sikkim and Nepal, Assam and Himachal, right? And we have Tibetans. And we were telling our Tibetan friends that we, as an Indian, His Holiness always mentions that Indians are the Gurus and then the Tibetans are the Chelas, but the Chelas are reliable Chelas, right? And we were quite confused because we are from this Himalayan region and we are culturally Tibetan and politically Indian. So we are either, like we were confused.
So you are both Guru and Chela, yeah.
It could be the case, Geshe, and it could be, either we are both Guru and Chela or we are none. So
choice is yours, yeah.
In both the cases, what we have realized, Geshe, understanding this wisdom and there's the Indian wisdom tradition, which is based on love and compassion. It's very essential for everyone, especially us. So, and without we having teachers like Geshe and reliable Geshe-las, either Guru, both Guru and Chela. So it is not at all possible for every one of us to get access to this tradition. So in Ladakh, we don't have many such programs. We have, of course, many programs in Ladakh. This is my own experience, but those are mostly based on historical or the rituals, which are also very good. But now, when we are coming to places like Dharamsala, all our students are getting. They are able to appreciate this, Geshe, and there are many student unions who have also come, like Jammu, Dehradun, Delhi student unions have come. They have also now, in a way, planning to initiate such kind of programs in their own respective places, in their universities, Geshe. So, thank you so much, Geshe, for being our constant guide, teacher, and our refuge, Geshe.
como